So for the third week in a row, we are so blessed and so grateful that we have one of our members who is going to be sharing a mountaintop moment with us. Um, if you have not had an opportunity to watch the mountaintop moments from the last couple of weeks, they are available on the website on the listen and watch page, and I highly recommend them. They've been so inspirational and moving. And this week we are so pleased to have Azar here to share her mountaintop moment with us. So if you'll please welcome Azar to our podium.
Good morning again. Okay, so when I was asked to share a mountaintop moment, I immediately knew that I wanted to because my faith is young. It's been about 5 years since I've had it. And it's been about 5 years since I've come out of a dark place, a very dark place. And before I had my faith, I thought I needed a mountaintop moment to find God. I thought that I needed to have this crazy moment of the Lord coming down from the heavens and presenting himself to me. When I was coming out of this dark place, there was a moment where I didn't want to find God. I just wanted this pain I was feeling to end. I just wanted it to go away. And I started thinking more in a darker sense than a better sense. And when I started thinking that way, I started thinking of my mom. And I started thinking of my dad. And they immediately were the only things that came to my head in the moments of wanting my pain to go away. So to me, that was a moment of realizing that that wasn't the path to go down. So if I'm not going to choose to make life go away, I have to figure out a way how to live life. So you hear all the time about the stories of people finding God. Like they go through these horrible situations and then they find God and their life is good. So I figured that was the way to go. But I didn't know how to do that. You know, do I pick up a Bible? Do I read this thing? Do I go to a church? I didn't really know how it worked. Because in those 5 years that I spent in this dark place, I never talked to God. I never looked for him. I never even thought of him or prayed to him. It was just dark. So my senior year of high school, I lived in Rancho Bernardo, and for my senior project, I worked with an orphanage in Mexico. And there was this Christian church in Poway that a family friend had recommended to my mom and I to go to. And they worked with me with my senior project. I did kind of like a mission moment with the church, and they bombarded me with donations for this orphanage. So during this time, backtrack. I was raised Catholic. And at the beginning of me, let's find God path, I had a church that I was raised in, that I was baptized. I had a first communion, so that was the only church that I knew, this Catholic church. So the Bible has always kind of confused me, so I figured I'd start with the church versus starting with the Bible. So I went to this church that I grew up in, this Catholic church, and on Saturdays they were open because of confessional. You could go there and confess your sins. And so I knew that, so I went on a Saturday, and when I got there, the doors were locked, and it was closed. And I'm thankful for this moment, because looking back on it now, it wasn't a thought of, this isn't the path I should go on, I should find a different path. The thought was, this isn't my church anymore. So that's when I started thinking back, because I was 23 at the time, now I'm 28, but when I was 18, I was a senior in high school, and I remembered this church in Poway that I had worked with and the family friend that had recommended us to go there. So I called her, and I said, I messed up, I need some help, I'm trying to find a God or something to help me, and this church that you had shown me, I want to go to church, but I don't want to go to Rancho Bernardo every Sunday. I don't want to drive all the way over there. I'm living in Talmadge area. Can you help me out? This is what I'm looking for. So she called me back a few days later, and she found this church in Kensington. And she said she found the website and it seemed like a great community, and that the pastor seemed great, and to give it a try. And at that point, I kind of was all out of options, so I decided to come to church. And I dragged my mom with me because I didn't know what I was doing. So we came to church, and we heard Daryl speak, and I don't remember what he said, but I remember liking him and liking what he was saying. And there was a visitor card in the pew. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, so I figured that I'm just going to grab what I can, so I filled out the visitor card. And I went to church, and it was nice. And that was kind of that. And then I figured, I'm very passionate about helping homeless, so I started feeding the homeless on my own and doing things that, could make me feel better. And then a few days later, I got a letter in the mail from Daryl. And I remember reading the letter and thinking, okay, let's just keep going. And he invited me, he asked me, they told me thank you for coming and invited me to come see him. And again, don't know what I'm doing, so I kind of just went with it, and I met with Daryl. And I was so broken. It was the one point in my life that I had never been open to anyone about all the broken pieces I had in front of me and I didn't know how to put back together. And I don't remember what he told me, but I do remember him saying, "I'm glad you're here." And I remember thinking that I'm so glad I'm here. And that was 3 years ago, going on 4. I didn't have a mountaintop moment where God came down from the heavens and said, "Here I am, let's go." But I had a family friend bring me and show me this place. I had Daryl grab my hand, and he was the first light that I saw in a really dark place. And then weeks later, I had this community surrounding me around these passions that I have to help people and wanting to be a part of it. So it was kind of all these little pieces that became this big mountaintop moment where I feel like my life is now this mountaintop moment where I've had people brought into my life and allow me to see that God doesn't really need to present himself because he presents people and things to us all the time that we just have to keep our eyes open for, because eventually that can lead us to constantly climbing and to constantly being better people, and eventually maybe I'll see God. I'm kind of waiting for it. Like, I hear stories all the time where he just presents himself. So I'm holding off. So you guys have really become my mountaintop moment, and Daryl is my mountaintop moment. So thank you for being my mountaintop moment.